So, I wanted to talk today about mental health. It's Mental Health Awareness Week, and I think that this is a really good time to highlight the things that we should be looking at all the time, because mental health isn't just about a week, but this week brings focus and brings awareness and attention. And it was just yesterday that we were talking to someone. I was out and she was telling me a horrendous story about how her stepfather, they lost the mother just before lockdown, and then the stepfather had no one, and suddenly he went from, losing his wife to being alone, and he ended up killing himself. And he was 63, and that's tragic. And he killed himself on the Orwell Bridge, and the week before that a 16-year-old had done the same thing. So mental health isn't about age, it's not about sex, it's not about gender, it's not about any of these things. It affects everyone. And at some point in everyone's lives, you will probably be affected by mental health, whether you go into depression, whether you have anxiety, whether someone in your family has. There's lots of different things that can affect mental health. And my own journey with mental health has been quite an intense one. When I was a teenager, I was very depressed. My life situation was very challenging at the time, and so I really struggled. My mother was terminally ill from when I was 8 years old. My father then got cancer. A lot of pressure, a lot of things. We moved countries. So when I was 15, I'd tried to kill myself, and I'd got to a point where I thought, I can't take this anymore. I don't want to die, but I don't want to live, and I don't know what to do. I was seeing a counsellor. I was getting severe migraines. I was on so much pain medication. It was unbelievable, and I loved it because it just numbed me out of life. And I wanted to be in that numbed state. But I also knew there was more. There was this part of me, this voice that kept saying, there's more, Juliette, there's more. This isn't what you want. And so I took myself to the mental health hospital in America and I signed myself in. I was 15, and my parents, when I called them up to tell them what I was doing, that I was there, were like, you can't do that, because the stigma, first of all, attached to, being in a mental health institution is not good. And also my mother especially had all these visions of what it was like, in mental health hospitals. Not that she'd been in one, but the electroshock therapy, all that stuff that went on. But when I went in, the hospital I was in Florida was beautiful. It was lovely, and it was so supportive. And what it gave me was space away from my life to just look at it impartially and get some space. I think space is the most important thing. Sometimes when you're in something, just being taken away from that situation can really help you to reevaluate and look at everything with great clarity. So that was a really powerful thing. And what also happened was they gave me tools to navigate when I felt I was getting depressed. And those tools have been invaluable in my life. Things like just seeing when your mood starts to drop, and having self-care things that you can put into place. And this, for me, was just amazing, because there was this deep part of me that knew I had something to do in life. And also there was a deep part of me that knew I had to overcome these challenges to be able to understand and support other people through these challenges. If you've never been depressed, if you've never been like really depressed, if you've never had that total inability to move or to motivate yourself, and you've just wanted to escape, it's very hard to talk to people about that. So for me, it was a really great blessing, the journey I went through. And I'm super grateful that the powers that be didn't let me kill myself, that I didn't succeed, and that I had the courage to take myself to the hospital to sort myself out. Now, obviously, one of the things they do is put you on antidepressants and all the rest of it. And I did that for a little bit. But after 6 months, I realized I didn't want to stay on them, and that they had served their purpose and it was time to come off them. So I took myself off them. And, later on in my life, my depression resurfaced after my mother died when I was 21. That was quite hard hitting, and I found that a struggle. And I went to the doctors, and they put me on, what did they put me on? Something to knock me out. God, it was like, and it was lovely for a day or two. And then I thought, you know what, this is doing what I did before. I don't want to block out things. I don't want to numb myself from life. I want to experience all life has to offer me. And obviously that's what antidepressants do, is they narrow your frame of reference into something that is very manageable. And when you're in extreme situations, that's what you have to do. But that's not where I wanted to stay. And so I worked really hard at finding other things that worked for me. Now, depression is a many faceted thing, and it can come from so many different areas, and I'm going to be looking into right now some of the ways that we can support ourselves. But there's not one shoe that fits all. You have to go on this journey yourself and go, what works for me as an individual? Because the roots of people's depression all varies. But there are some baseline things that everyone can do to support their mental health. And I've seen this all resurface, and it was quite triggering, when my son, a few years ago, really when lockdown hit, just really struggled, developed severe OCD, severe anxiety, was unable to cope with life, really. Would have violent outbursts, was in a very, very, very bad place for a few years, and it was a huge struggle. And it was a huge struggle on my mental health, having to cope with it and not get triggered constantly by the situation, by what was going on. And what was even harder was me knowing what can help nutritionally. And at the time, with his OCD, it was a contamination OCD. He would only eat food wrapped in plastic. So I knew he wasn't getting any of the goodness that would actually help his brain and his gut to kind of overcome these challenges that he was facing. So what can we do if we're struggling with mental health? Well, the first thing is reach out to people. Know that you're not alone. I think that's one of the most important things. When you feel that I'm all alone, no one understands me, no one gets me. We all feel that at times, Doing this work, I feel that at times. I feel quite alone. On a spiritual journey, we can feel quite alone. But knowing we're not alone, that there are people out there going through it, I think has always been such a beautiful guiding space. And, that's where social media can be an amazing thing, because it's a space where if you can't meet up with someone physically, you can at least reach out and there is some support and some connection. But having some form of support, knowing where you can turn to is the first thing. The second thing is looking at your nutrition. Looking at your gut health. The gut is directly linked to the mind. This is a huge thing. Our mental health is so correlated to our gut, to our digestive system. And so when we're looking at our neurotransmitters, serotonin, which is, that feel-good neurotransmitter that is very linked to depression. Most of the antidepressants are linked to serotonin. So looking at the fact that 80% of your serotonin is produced in your gut, 80%. So if your gut's not working properly, this is going to have a direct effect on your mind, on your mental health. So how can we look at our gut? And I'm just giving you little snapshots here because these are all very in-depth subjects, but hopefully this will give you a bit of a grounding to have a first start that you can go from. So, what I'd recommend is get something like aged garlic extract, a brilliant garlic product. And what the garlic does is it's a natural antibacterial. It's like a natural antibiotic. So it's going to kill off those bad bacteria in your gut. Getting on a good probiotic. My favorite is VSL3. Absolutely love it. Really, really good. So getting on a good probiotic. There are lots of great ones out there, but getting one that's got lots of different strains. So it's going to be a good concentration for your digestive system. Really, really important. Look at what you're eating. Food has a huge impact on our digestive system, but also on our mental health. So if we're eating, so often in my practice, I see loads of people who are eating high amounts of gluten and really struggling because gluten has a direct link to our cognitive function. And so many people are gluten intolerant, or maybe I should say glyphosate intolerant. There's a link there, but that's again a bigger subject. So gluten can make you have brain fog. It can make you feel very fuzzy in the head. It can make you feel very down. But what it's doing as well is it's affecting your digestive system, because the gluten molecule is too big for everyone's digestive system. So people are struggling to break it down, and it's a direct link to leaky gut, and leaky gut is directly linked to depression. So we have this correlation that's going on that people aren't aware of. Now, for me, a plant-based diet has been a really great thing, but everyone's different. So looking at what feels right for you is so important. But having lots of meat and heavy meat, I feel, causes a lot of inflammation in the body, and this inflammatory state is not what we want. So we want to go for a low inflammation in the body. So more alkalizing foods is really important, because inflammation in the body is inflammation in the brain, which is linked to, again, depression, cognitive function problems, hormonal problems. But with our mental health, having healthy fats is super important. So even though you may not be eating meat, having good fats is really important. Blue-green algae oil, amazing DHA and EPA in an easily broken down form. So this is a really good thing to have. So getting those essential fats and getting the nuts and the seeds into your diet, especially hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are perfect ratio of omega-3 and 6 for the body. So really easy to digest thing to have. So hemp seeds are great. Getting good forms of protein in your body, super important as well. Easily digestible. My body's not very good with heavy protein, so I've never been very good with eating meat. It's never really sat well in my body. But you have to listen to your own body and work out what really works for you. And one of the ways I think that we can do that is by doing some fasting, coming off foods, and then slowly introducing things back into our diets and seeing how they affect us. So these are a few simple things. One of the biggest ones that has a huge impact on our mental health is sugar. We're living in a world of sugar crazed people. There's sugar in everything. And then the opposite trend is people go, I can't have sugar. And so they go on to sugar-free products, which are even worse. So sugar-free products generally contain aspartame or other sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, and artificial sweeteners are pretty toxic. Stevia is a natural plant, which is beautiful. So I like stevia, maple syrup, raw local honey, coconut sugar. These are all great alternatives to refined sugar. And also you can still have like your raw cane sugar. That's not bad. It's the refined sugar that we don't want to have. But having too much of any sugar isn't a good thing, because A, this is causing more inflammation in the body, but B, it's feeding those bad bacteria and also parasites. A big part of mental health and lots of other illnesses is linked to parasites. They're rife in our bodies. So many people have parasites. Approximately, they say 70% of society has parasites at any one time. And those parasites can make you change the way you think. It's incredible to see that. So looking at what we can do, doing maybe a parasite cleanse is really important. I wouldn't do a parasite cleanse without the advice of a healthcare practitioner. On my website, I've got a brilliant essential detox and renewal program, which talks you through doing a parasite cleanse, a heavy metal cleanse, because this is another really important part, with recipes over 4 weeks. So that's a really good thing you can look at. And I've also now got a natural health membership group, which till the end of this week is £10 a month only. After that, it goes up. But if you get in before the end of this week, then you're at £10. You're fine. It's going to stay at that price. And that's a great space where you get access to me. You can ask me questions. I do monthly live video calls. Today I'm doing one after this on medicinal mushrooms and their benefits. So you get access to me, new recipes, support. So if you're doing a program, if you're doing a cleanse, you can be getting that extra support one-on-one from me. So all that is on my website. Okay, the other little bit I mentioned in there is heavy metals. Heavy metal toxicity, there is direct correlation between heavy metal toxicity and mental health problems. So looking at this is really important. I do hair mineral analysis, and what I found from that hair mineral analysis is people are high in heavy metals. So many people are high in heavy metals. So bringing these down is really, really important, and also not complicated, so a really good thing to do is to look at what's going on with your nutritional levels and what's going on with your heavy metal. It's very simple and very effective. So we're looking at mental health. We're looking first of all at gut. Excuse me. Second of all, at getting support from people around us, having that support, actual physical support, really, really important. Then we're looking at potentially doing a parasite cleanse, heavy metal cleanse, getting these toxins out of our body. Now, obviously, if you're depressed and you're really struggling, all of this could seem too much. And I totally get that. And if that's the case, there's a few simple steps that you can do, a few things that, from my experience, are very, very effective with most people. So the first one is looking at medicinal mushrooms. Medicinal mushrooms can be a total game changer when it comes to anxiety, depression, OCD, all of these kind of things. Loads of research at the moment on microdosing and the effects of psilocybin on the brain and on these conditions. One of the things from the research is showing that when you combine the psilocybin with the reishi and the lion's mane, this is when it has the most beneficial effect, and also potentially with niacin as well. But when we're looking at the mushrooms, so I've got my medicinal mushroom tincture. It's a double strength dual extract medicinal mushroom tincture, which is made for me in the UK. It's got reishi, chaga, lion's mane, cordyceps, and turkey tails. Non-psychoactive, not got the psilocybin in, but very, very effective for mental health. It's been used by a lot of people, and amazing results with ADHD, autism, anxiety, depression. And it's very humbling having the feedback coming to me of how it's helping people. It's only a part of the picture, mushrooms have a huge part to play, but it's only a part. We have to do that inner work as well. We have to be supporting ourselves. We have to be looking at where we can find joy, but the mushrooms are a really good way that quite quickly, most people see within a week to a month positive effects from taking the mushrooms. So this is a really important thing to look at, that we can get that help from nutrition, that things can support us. So if you're struggling and it's like you can only do a couple of things or a few things, I'd say get on a good probiotic. If you can at the same time reduce your sugar intake as much as you can, get on the medicinal mushrooms, super important. And then I'd say also look at CBD. CBD is super effective, an amazing thing. My CBD hot chocolate has been a very beneficial thing for a lot of people. It's CBD, medicinal mushrooms, cacao. It's got something called mucuna in. Mucuna is the highest source of L-DOPA, which is the precursor to dopamine. So very, very good again for feeling calm and feeling that uplift in our being. So these would be, if someone came to me and said, I'm depressed, what can I do? I need it to be simple. I'd say, get the mushroom tincture, get on the CBD hot chocolate and get a probiotic as your first step. And then you start to feel a little bit better. So then it's like, okay, what can I do next? And then it'd be looking at diet and going, okay, so let's change the way you're eating. Let's gradually reduce the acidic foods, reduce the sugar, bring in the greens, bring in, fresh juices and smoothies. The All You Need Superfoods mix is brilliant because it's got all your bases covered. So all you need is a superfood mix that I make that's got vitamin D, magnesium, B12, super greens, medicinal mushrooms, plant protein, digestive enzymes. So it's a really simple way. Add a scoop of that to your water, to your smoothie, to plant milk, to your porridge. I put it in the kids' pancakes, really easy to use. And what you're going to be doing with that is covering your base nutrients. Because again, one of the things that happens when we're depressed is we lack nutrients because potentially we're not eating properly because we're depressed and we don't have the energy and the motivation to make food. Or because we're low and depressed, what we're doing is we're going for the comfort food. So we're going for the junk food. We all know if we're feeling a bit low, generally we reach for the sugar, we reach for the ice cream, we reach for those things that we think are going to make us feel better. because we've been programmed by society. It's like, if you feel low, eat this stuff. Um, but what happens then is you start lacking nutrients, and that nutrient deficiency then leads to more mental health issues. So getting those good nutrients in is key. But as I said, I know that when you're down and depressed, it's so hard to become motivated to go and make a lovely meal for yourself, because you don't have that love in there for you. So that's where the All You Need is amazing, because it's like one scoop, mix it into water, boom, you're done. And vitamin C and magnesium, B12, all of these things are linked to depression. If we're low in these nutrients, we could be struggling with depression. So, with things like depression, anxiety, with mental health things, for me, it's like, well, let's rule out some of the base things. Let's get those sorted and then see what we've got left. Because yes, depression can come from trauma. Yes, it can come from when we've had horrible things happen to us. Yes, it can come from potentially, I think, past life things we bring into this world. This world is hard to be in, especially if you're an empath, you're a sensitive being, you absorb all this stuff. And I realized in my life, part of my depression came from the fact that I am an empath. I do sense what other people are feeling and thinking. I have that sensitivity within me, and a lot of spiritual people have that sensitivity, and this world can then seem too much. If you can feel other people's emotions, if you can feel the messed up nature of this world, it's like, Jesus Christ, get me off this roller coaster. I've had it. And that's where learning ways to protect yourself energetically. For me, the mushrooms were the game changers with this, because they helped me to really ground and anchor into the earth. And they helped, what I found, and this is really interesting, is they kind of almost seal the aura from, I feel, attachments and other things hopping onto you. So this is very, very important and very powerful, that they can have this, I feel, this energetic protective quality going on. Because, so often mental health things aren't even ours. And that was another thing that I learned. And when I discovered that, I was like, actually, most of this shit that I think is mine isn't even mine. It's everyone else's that I've picked up. Oh my God. Excuse the bad language. So when you can have those realizations and that understanding that actually we need to protect ourselves, we need to really anchor in and find what protection works for us, because everyone's different. And so this is really important. What works for you? Labradorite used to be a crystal that was really helpful psychically. It would help protect me. Shungite is another great crystal that you can work with. The grounding, connecting into the earth, visualizing a beautiful ball of light around you that only allows positive energy in and out is a really lovely thing, so that you're creating this, egg around you. One of my favorites at the moment, and I absolutely love it, is this breath work I've been doing. And sorry, something's got in my throat suddenly. So this breath work that I've been doing, what you do is you breathe in from the center of the earth, and you breathe up along your spinal column, and you imagine that as you're breathing in the energy of the earth, it's creating this column of light along your spine. You breathe up into the cosmos. You hold your breath out in the cosmos, and then you breathe down that cosmic light, down this column of light through your spine. And you keep breathing up and down, and what happens is this column of light starts expanding with the light of the earth and the light of the cosmos. And it keeps growing and growing until you're all encompassed in this beautiful vortex of earth energy and cosmic energy. And in the center, you expand, and your heart opens and radiates love out. And for me, that's one of the best things protection wise, because it's that you're linking yourself to these two cosmic bodies, the earth, who is nurturing, nourishing, unconditional love, and to the cosmos, that deep intuition and inspiration. And then you're sat in the middle in this beautiful container of light. And I do that every day, and it really is incredible. Another thing when it comes to mental health that has been, for me, a game changer, and, we can only talk from personal perspective, and I can talk, obviously, sharing the stories I've had from my clients, but mental health is a very personal journey. And as I said before, it's finding what works for you, because we are not one shoe fits all. And so hopefully some of the different things I've been saying something will click inside you and resonate, and you'll go, ah, yeah, I get that. But one of the things for me that's been so helpful is gratitude. And I've done this throughout my life, even in my darkest moments. What am I grateful for? And sometimes it's really, really bloody hard. You know, if you're feeling down, it's like, what am I grateful for? I can't think of freaking anything I'm grateful for. You know, it can be challenging, can't it? It can be really hard to think about that. But once you start to get into it and you think, actually, you know what? I'm really grateful for the sun shining. I'm really grateful that the rain is watering all the plants and the earth. Really grateful for seeing beautiful flowers. Really grateful for my breath. You know, and just getting into that space of gratitude can really change your mindset. And so how I start my day is I wake up and think about what I'm grateful for. That's the first thing I do. The next thing I do is I tune into my body and I say, hey, what do you need today? What one thing can I do for you today, body? And it might be go slow. It might be move your body. It might be drink more water. It might be have more mushrooms. Loads of different things it could be. But I follow through with that one thing. So what that does is it brings you into relationship with this body, because this body is so important that we look after. Because most of our mental health things come from deficiencies within our body, either toxicity, parasites, nutritional deficiencies. You know, these are the main things that depression, anxiety, mental health things come from, or that exacerbate our mental health conditions. But the other thing, you know, I've had a lot of trauma in my life. I've had a lot of things that haven't been, you know, the easiest. I've not had like just plain sailing life. But what I've always done is tried to find that silver lining. What have I learnt from this? What is this challenge bringing me? And sometimes that's really, really hard when it seems really crap and you're like angry at the world. And it's okay to be angry at the world, because what we also don't want to do is we don't want to like fake gratitude. Oh, it's all fine. It's all great. I feel wonderful. And put this mask on, because that's not a good thing either. So it's knowing that it's okay to feel low. It's okay to feel like this, and it's honoring those feelings. Going, you know what? I feel like this and that's okay, but there's still light. There's still light. There's still beautiful flowers. You know, there's still goodness. And even though I'm feeling like this, I know and I trust that there's a deeper purpose in this. There's a deeper lesson for me in this. And as I said, I'm only speaking from where I've been. And everyone's journey is different. So, you know, if you're on a day and you can't find that light, and sometimes we can't, that's okay too. But know it's there. You know, for me, having that knowing, what for me, I guess it's been, is it's like, I truly believe, and I always have, that things happen for a reason. And even though they're crap, they're here to teach me, and that I've pre-agreed to them. That's what I believe. You may not, and you may be getting angry at that, saying, well, I don't believe that. That's my belief. And that's helped me move through challenges, because I've gone, okay, well, what's the gift? What's the learning in this? You know, and seeing your mum being terminally ill and watching her die is not fun. You know, it's not an easy thing. Seeing your dad get cancer, and then, you know, also him struggling because he's lost the love of his life, and him going through that, that wasn't easy. You know, we all go through challenges. But going, okay, what's the reason? Like when my son was super ill, you know, and going, what's the reason in this? What's the purpose? You know, and there were moments where I would scream into the earth because I couldn't find it. I didn't know. But I was like, there will be a reason. There'll be some good that will come out of this. Just keep going, Juliette. Keep going. The earth has got you. The earth has got you. Keep going. You can do this. You can do this. And that was the other thing that I had to work hard on. And I think this is very important when it comes to mental health, is we get into these phrases. And when my son was really ill, my phrase was, I can't cope. I can't cope. I can't do this. And I started to say that a lot. And then what happened was that was what was happening. I couldn't cope. And so changing that, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. I can do this. I can do this. And then it gave me that courage to go, okay, come on, you could get there. So, I've given quite a lot of information. So I'm just going to summarize some of these things. Grounding, connecting to the earth, finding that protection energetically so that you know what's your stuff and what's other people's stuff. Looking at your gut, super important. Looking at your nutrients, getting those into your body, finding support, finding your tribe, those people around you who can help you and hold you. Looking at reducing sugar if you can, reducing gluten ideally if you can, getting on an anti-inflammatory diet, really important. Looking at your vitamin D, your B12, your magnesium, looking potentially at your heavy metal toxicity. Looking at something like All You Need superfoods as a one-stop shop to give you those nutrients coming in. Look at the medicinal mushrooms and their benefits, because it's incredible. Look at potentially CBD. Obviously, if you're on medication, then you need to contact a healthcare professional to find out if there's any contraindications for any supplements that you may be wanting to take. Look at, getting outside. Nature therapy is one of the most amazing things, and it's free. Get outside, barefoot on the earth, get grounded, get away from Wi-Fi, get away from the screen, get away from these things that are imprinting on your mind and causing more depression. Super important. Get away from social media in some extent so that you're not feeding yourself with stuff that's going to make you more depressed or anxious. Get out in nature. Cold water therapy, amazing for mental health, super important. One of the things that I found very interesting is, as I look into hormones, the effects that hormones have on mental health, and a lot of women get into their, mid to late 40s, their hormones change and they think they're losing the plot. One of the highest rates of suicide in women is between this kind of 45 and 55, this menopausal age, when they're like, what the hell is going on with me? And this sudden anxiety and sudden depression that hits them, because hormones have a huge impact, as does cortisol, the stress hormone, in how we feel. And I had a few months where I was feeling really off kilter because I've started this perimenopausal journey, and I was like feeling anxious and depressed and low, and I was like, what's going on? And I wanted to sit with it and feel it for a little bit and tune into it. And then I came up with what my body wanted, and I started to hit it with the iodine, my balance hormone tincture, and higher doses of medicinal mushrooms. And now, yes, I still have little ups and downs, but nowhere near as bad. I feel like I've, knock on wood, don't want to jinx it, got on top of it. And the iodine's been a big part of that for me. But it's always that listening to your body. It's coming into relationship with your body is such a helpful thing when it comes to our mental health, because then you're one with yourself instead of fighting yourself, which is such a big part of it all. Meditation, yoga, tai chi, qigong, breathwork, all these things can have such a huge impact and a support and a help on our mental health. Even just walking. So looking at these different activities that you can bring in, because moving the physical body is really good. And when it comes to something like, I started karate in September. And I tell you what, it's been incredible for my mental health, the community, the kind of camaraderie of it. And for my son, his journey with his mental health, karate has been such an important thing, the structure, the discipline, but also my acupuncturist told me that when you do karate, the different moves are actually freeing up your meridian lines. So you're freeing your energy channels so that they can move freely. So this is a really important thing to connect into. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's given you a few insights. Do reach out if you want some more guidance or advice. As I said, I've got my natural health membership, which at the end of this week goes up to £22 a month. But at the moment, it's £10 a month. And if you sign up now, you stick at £10 a month. So a good time to sign up, where you can get access to me, videos, meditations, recipes, more support to help you. But I hope this has been a good help, a good start. No, you're not alone. I think that's the most important thing. And, for me, having come through a lot with my own mental health and my son's mental health, I know what it's like. I'm not speaking at this from a detached point of view. I'm speaking from someone who has been there, you know. So anyway, sending you all lots and lots of love, big hugs, and have a great day. Bye.